This is the 2024 Chevrolet Silverado EV RST. Is it worth every penny? Hey everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. I hope you're having a great day. Today I'm at Red River Chevrolet in Bossier City, Louisiana for, at least here on the Vehicle Visionary YouTube channel, our first look at the Silverado EV. This model is available. If you want to buy it, check out the link down in the description of the video. Let's take a look at what we have with this particular model. And you'll notice that we already have the animated lights, LED lighting, full LED lighting doing its thing when I just walked up to the vehicle. I didn't have the remote in my hand or anything like that. This is not unusual for Chevrolet, but depending on what you do with the remote will determine what those lights do. You walk up, you've got some animation, quite a bit going on where that's concerned. Pretty nice look. You can see almost that Knight Rider style look. For those of you who are old enough to know who Knight Rider was or what the show was, you can see that animation that looks like that little red radar thing that was on the front of KITT. That was actually pretty darn cool. Obviously, you know it's the RST logo, and we do have, as I said, our LED lighting. And here's a better look with the lighting elements turned on. Don't know how well the camera will pick that up, but being overcast today, hopefully it does a good job. You've already seen the LED lighting across the top area up here. We also have our LED projector beam headlights and obviously the RST logo and plenty of air coming in through this area. You've got your forward-facing camera right there. The air is going to help keep the battery cool. There's a few different ways that's done because you want to keep the charge capacity up for as long as possible, as high as possible, for obvious reasons. That's also done partially by having good aerodynamics. That's the name of the game with EVs. You have the air curtain right there that's going to allow air to flow through the front end and help with aerodynamics as best as possible. Kind of hard to get great aerodynamics with the truck, but that's what we have. And it does ride on air ride suspension. There are multiple settings for ride height depending on your needs and or situation. I'll show you what we have here. And how about the tire and wheel size? Well, I want to show you something here because a lot of people are probably going to tell me that I'm wrong if I don't show this. So we have 275 on the width, a 50 series sidewall. There's what I really wanted you to see, a 24-inch wheel. Kind of hard to tell on screen, but that is indeed a 24-inch wheel. Power adjustable side view mirrors. They are power folding, and you have the turn signal indicators built in. You also have your blind spot monitoring built in right there. Body color door handles, the buttons right here, passive entry. When you have the remote on your person, you can come up and lock and unlock all four doors with those buttons from the front or rear doors. I like that, the fact that that is there. Now, this truck really does have a nice aggressive look to it, a little more boxy. Kind of looks almost like the former Chevrolet Avalanche that we saw years ago. At least that's what I see. And we'll finish things off here with the LED tail lights. There's that Silverado logo. I probably don't need to tell you why the E is in blue right there. And the RST logo. We're going to come back and talk a lot more about what you'll find back here shortly, but I have a special treat for you concerning the front trunk. And first of all, let me open the front trunk for you real quick. We'll use the button to do that. Now, there is a little trick here that I'm going to show you after I give you the measurements here. And that little trick that I was talking about, that little treat I should say, is to do with the tape measure right here. I'm going to give you the dimensions in inches instead of cubic feet. We're looking at 17 inches of height, 35 inches wide, and the depth will be 34 inches. And obviously you have some lighting in here. There is a reasonable amount of space. From what I understand, some automakers have discovered that a lot of owners of EVs are not using front trunk space. And so you're starting to see that kind of go by the wayside on some vehicles. But as you can expect, you'll have things such as your charging cable come with the vehicle. So it's good to know what is there. Pretty easy to deal with. You do have some tie down points as well in case you have something you don't want rolling around all over the interior of your front trunk. And that one thing I wanted to share with you is the fact that depending on where the front trunk is, when you go to close it, if you push that button twice, it's not going to close all the way, but it will do it when it gets to a certain point. So what I'm going to do is go right here, we'll let go of it, and you'll see that it goes ahead and closes. Just something to kind of know of. Hold it down for a second or two, and you should be good to go where that's concerned. And let's talk about the numbers to do with this truck, starting with horsepower and torque. 754 horsepower, 785 on the torque, made it to a single speed transmission. If you're familiar with the sport of drag racing, it's a lot like high gear only, like a top fuel dragster or a funny car would have. That's why when you drop the power pedal to the floor, you get that instant punch in the gut with all that torque. According to Chevrolet, 440 miles of driving range on a single charge. And if you're curious, you can go from 0 to 80% in about 35 minutes on a DC fast charger. If you go with a conventional Silverado, we're looking at 1,590 pounds up to 2,290 pounds of payload. Here with the Silverado EV, we're looking at 1,400 pounds. And your towing comes in at 10,000 pounds, which is a little bit more closely resembling what you're going to see with a conventional Silverado. We do have our multi-flex tailgate right here that opens in a multitude of ways, like a conventional tailgate. But in case you're not familiar with this, let me show you a couple of things here. So you can use this area as a table. You can also use it as a bed extender, and there's two different ways to do this. So cargo can butt up against there if it needs to. Obviously with the tonneau cover, you can move that out of the way. That's pretty easy to deal with and pretty easy to figure out. But let me hit the button here to lower the tailgate in its conventional position to show you bed extender number 2. And there you go. It also has the graphite material right here that is used for sure-footedness. And you might wonder, why do you need that? Well, because you can also use this area as a step. Now, before I use it as a step and show you that, I do want to show you one more thing. I like the fact that you can drop the tailgate like we have right here, drop that step section down, but it gives you easier access to reach into the bed where you have multiple tie downs, LED lighting, all of that's going to be here. And here is how we drop that area to use as a step. So makes it pretty easy to deal with. A lot of versatility, that's for sure. And just a little tip for those who may want to know. What happens if you open that top portion and then you drop the tailgate, which you can do, and it hits your ball down here? You've got a trailer hitch in. How do you avoid that? Hold this button down. And you're gonna wait until you see the tail lights flash. I'm gonna let you see this in real time. The lights are going to flash shortly. There we go. And what that's going to do is mean that now when I push that button, notice nothing happens. So there is your fail-safe. You can still open the tailgate in the conventional position, but you aren't going to be at risk of damaging the tailgate if you have that trailer hitched down there. And then obviously you're going to repeat that same process to unlock that section again. And by the way, I did want to show you a couple of things. Move the cover out of the way right there. That's easy to do here with this truck. And show you the LED lighting right there. And you're also going to have the ability to power quite a few things here, depending on what your situation is and what you need to do. But one of the best features here is the fact that this is not all of the available cargo space. Remember I showed you with the multi-flex tailgate that you have a bed extender built in? Well, there's another way you can extend your cargo area. Now I'm going to show this to you. I'm going to mount the camera right up there because, well, that's about the best I can do. But what we're going to do is we're going to move everything out of the way here. First of all, we move the seat cushions up and out of the way. We're going to drop the seat backs down. I'm going to take the window out. I'm going to store it. There's a storage area behind the seats, and then we can lower this whole section behind the seats down, and it actually opens all of this up for one big pass-through. One of the first things you're going to want to do is get the seat belts out of the way, and we will stow those right here. I'm having a little trouble doing that one-handed. There we go. We'll do that with both seat belts. Okay. First thing you're going to want to do is lower the headrests right here, and then we're going to pull up on the release right here and get the seat cushions out of the way. There is another release on the side that will allow you to lower the seat backs down. And right up here, you're going to have a release on the driver's side and the passenger side over there. And so what we're going to do is you just reach up underneath or on the top there and move that out of the way. We're going to do the same thing over here. And then once you do that and the glass comes forward and you have a little stop right here, we're going to move this glass back, get the stop out of the way. We're going to take the glass out, and the glass actually goes right here. And then, see if I can get this in correctly. There we go. You literally just push it back into place right there. So once you do that, there are buttons right down here that you can push, and that will allow you to actually bring forward. Let's see if I can do this. Bring forward this whole area and lay it flat with that glass safely stowed inside. There is your pass-through. And just so you can see that from a couple of different angles, here's what we have. So depending on what you're hauling around, and you can obviously remove that cover right there. I just have it sitting up there, but that obviously comes out very easy to remove. You really have a nice large amount of space. Maybe we'll see this in future Silverados. Tell Chevrolet what you think about that. And just because I know if I don't show it, somebody's probably gonna say, Tom, why don't you show us what it looks like from the other angle besides the tailgate looking forward? Here's what we have for those who might wish to know. And this is so easy to do. Once you do it once or twice, it's no problem. One person can easily pull this operation off. And I didn't talk about it earlier, but you see it. You've got the assist step. Now it is a fixed in place. It's not a power assist step, but that's okay. Not a big deal. Now the thing I like about this being here is depending on how high the truck is and how high the vehicle next to you is, you can avoid door dings because people will hit that step before they'll hit the body of the truck. And you do have black on black here with your black exterior and black interior, but I like the contrast with the red and the blue stitching. You'll see that in quite a few areas throughout the interior. That is a good thing. I am a little disappointed that we don't have the in-seat storage right here. I think that should be there, but that's just the way it is. Nice large door bins, and you can see by what we have with the speaker right here, it is the Bose audio, premium audio system. One thing that I think Chevrolet should have done differently, in my opinion, depending on the height of the truck, you have the grab handles at all three doors, but you don't have them or one at the driver's side door right there. Kind of curious about that. And something you can't currently receive or option into your trucks as far as your Silverados go, other than right here, the panoramic sunroof. Now that is a fixed, it does not open, it's one solid piece, it is tinted, and there is no shade. Not necessarily a big deal, but that's what you have. I want to make sure I tell you about it. You also have the rear seat pockets. You're gonna have your heated seats here in the back, cup holders, and your air conditioning vents to help out keeping your rear seat passengers nice and cool. I do like, again, we got some of that contrast there with the red against that black. And we'll also have a couple of USB options along with a little bit of storage underneath this area right here, as well as the power outlet. And how about the sticker price? Here at Red River Chevrolet, $96,785. Let's see what else you get for that price. More of that contrast stitching. We talked about the blue and the red, or the red and the blue, depending on how you want to order that. Comfortable armrest, which we had a comfortable armrest on the rear doors as well, so that's good. Nice large door bins, plenty of space in there. You won't run out, shouldn't run out. One thing I think Chevrolet should do differently, you have seat memory here on the driver's side. At this price point, it should also be over there on the passenger side. That is my personal opinion on that. Tell me what you think. And obviously you control your side view mirrors right here, adjustments. You can choose which side with these two buttons right here, passenger side, driver's side, and the button in the middle right there. I'm gonna show you real quick what that does. We're gonna see the power adjustable side view mirrors. And you'll have your controls for your power seats, adjustments right here, lumbar support right here. They are heated and ventilated. Here is your power parking brake. Here's how you're going to change the height of the truck. Talked about that earlier. There's how you do that. Lane keeping assist, you can turn that on and off. I know on my GMC Sierra 2500, I keep that off. It just works better for me that way. But some people, you might like having it on. Different reasons, as they say, different strokes for different folks, right? And obviously you can open and close your front trunk right here, and you can open your power tailgate from here, but you'll have to close that manually. Power adjustable steering wheel, here's the control for that, tilt and telescopically adjustable. Now, remember what I said earlier, you've got the grab handle over there on the passenger side, but you don't have one here. I think there should be one personally, but you can grab the steering wheel as a driver, obviously, and hop right on in. And we can see that we have 71% of our charge capacity remaining, and all I have to do is push on the brake and everything comes to life. And you can see our digital instrument display right here. It's 82 degrees outside. It feels a lot hotter than that because we probably have 82% humidity today. I shouldn't be complaining about that because of the fact that I get to film today. We've had rain most of the week this week, so I'm happy about that. We do have a head-up display right there, and as is the case with most EVs, you're going to control all of that functionality right here in the infotainment screen. And while you can control the air conditioning right here, you can also control it right here. So that's good. Dual zone climate control, you've got your controls here on each side. You can control your fan speed right here. You can see what all is there. So it's nice to know that everything isn't only in that screen. And here are our steering wheel mounted controls. You do have Super Cruise here. I'll see if I can maybe demonstrate that later on if we get out for a test drive. And not only do you have Super Cruise, you also have a heated steering wheel, which seems very odd to talk about when it's as hot as it is outside. You're gonna have your red contrast stitching, and on the rear of the steering wheel, your typical controls for a Silverado for adjusting volume here on the right-hand side, and the station and whatever you're listening to on the left-hand side. So that's nice to know that that is there. You can go into one pedal driving if you want to. I prefer not to use that. That basically means when you take your foot off the power pedal, the truck starts to brake itself, and it does it pretty aggressively too. So you can go in and turn that on and off if you want to. And to turn the vehicle off, you can see I just pushed right there. You can hit vehicle off right there, or you can cancel that if you want to, which is what I'm going to do. Here's where we're going to control the headlights, the lighting on the exterior of the vehicle. You can see what you have right there. With off auto, you can turn lights on, you can turn lights off. Do whatever you need to do right there. There it is. Pretty simple to figure out as far as that goes. And obviously you have Google Assistant here, Alexa, all of that is going to be here. Pretty easy to deal with, and we have a lot of great functionality. Here is our head-up display. I went right here to do that. So if we want to adjust that, we can adjust the position, the brightness, the information that's on the screen, just as you would normally do with any other Chevrolet. So pretty easy to deal with all of that. I don't think you'll have a hard time figuring that out. Let's get that off the screen right there. And we will get rid of this. And I apologize for the glare. That's the bad thing about having that panoramic sunroof with no shade. A little bit of a different situation today. At least the sun's not shining, so that helps us out a little bit. But you can see what all you have here. How about drive modes? Let's go in and take a look at that. I do like the way that looks. A really nice look. You have My Mode, you have Normal, we're gonna have Off-Road, and then you have Tow Haul. So quite a bit going on where that's concerned. You can make individual changes to the vehicle as well. Steering, suspension, acceleration feel. You even have motor sound, and I don't think you can hear that right now, but hopefully we'll be able to hear that on the road during the test drive. But there's a lot of nice individualization here where you can configure things however you want to. That's nice to know. Now you will control your heated and ventilated seats, heated here, ventilated here on the screen. That's easy to deal with, easy to figure out. Charging, let's go in and take a look at what we have there. So we can see what we've got going on. You can schedule charges, you can charge now if you want to, whatever you want to do. So simple to deal with. You can even find out what's going on as far as where the closest charging station is. I can't show you that right now because I don't have a My Chevrolet account, but that is there. You also have your built-in Google Maps. It's super simple to deal with. Now, the one thing I do think should be a little different is the fact that you don't have your cameras taking up more of the screen than you do right there. So I don't know, that's just my thought on the matter. Someone else might say, oh, I think that's more than enough, Tom. No big deal where that's concerned. You do have your different views, whether it's your side view cameras, your overhead view, or we can go back to standard. Nice and clear. You do have a large volume button right there, or knob, I should say, as far as being able to adjust everything with your stereo. Wi-Fi hotspot, all of that's here. Super simple to deal with. Don't let that scare you off. I like that Chevrolet has simple to learn and use technology. And just as we've seen already, you've got that contrast with your gloss black and your red right here. And down there, underneath the controls for the air conditioner, your wireless charging pad, couple of USB options, and a 12-volt power outlet. That's one thing that is very interesting to me, is that I own a 2024 GMC Sierra 2500 that has no 12-volt power outlets in the interior. As many of those trucks as I reviewed, I didn't even realize that until I owned one. Kind of crazy, but you do have them here. Your cup holders and a little bit of space right here in front of the center console that doubles as a lid for the lid for the center console doubles as an armrest. There is plenty of space here. I like that. Open that up. Another USB option right there. You've got the built-in light, and there is a lot of space within that area. And right up here, I'm really happy to see more automakers using that available space. It's been there for a long time on these vehicles. They just haven't used it, but there we go. We have that. Plenty of room. Obviously, the rear view camera mirror, you don't have to use it that way. You can use it as a conventional camera, or excuse me, conventional rear view mirror. And how about all of our features on the upper console? Hopefully that's showing up well on the screen for you. You can see what all is there. A very nice interior. It does feel high tech. One thing I also have to say I like here is the curvature built into the screen right here. That points that towards the driver, gives it a little bit more of a driver focus. Okay, here we go on our test drive. Well, I say here we go, if we can get the Toyota in front of us to actually go. Okay, now we're officially going on our test drive. So let's find out what it's like to drive the Silverado EV. So what I've done, and I will try to remember, hopefully I'll remember, to show you the different ride heights when it comes to what the truck looks like. I did lower it down and it went into low ride position and actually played some music and showed me a graphic on the screen. I don't want to do that right now. I might try and do that in a little while when I'm somewhere where I can safely do that, but it's just something interesting that happened. This is my first experience with this truck, and it definitely gets up and runs. Goodness gracious, that's pretty impressive for a heavy truck. Now, I will say this, if you are cross-shopping and you're looking at, say, the GMC Hummer, this truck actually seems to handle a little better in my experience. I've only driven a couple of Hummers, but in my experience with the Hummers, it seems that the Silverado EV definitely drives and handles better. The ride quality is good with both models, but just the handling characteristics seem to be better here. And something else that is definitely not a problem is the fact that with the Hummer EV, whether you go with the truck or the SUV version, the problem that you have there with the glass panels in the roof, those what they call sky panels, there's 4 of them. You don't have just one affixed piece of glass like you do here with this Silverado. And in that Hummer, they tend to rattle. And I've driven 2 and they both did the same thing. So kind of an interesting experience where that is concerned. So that was an interesting thing to try out. So depending on what it is you're wanting, well, that's one of the things that I think would make a deciding factor. Now, apparently it's not going to let me go into Super Cruise here, so we won't be able to demonstrate that. That's pretty easy to deal with. When the road conditions are right, it will automatically go into Super Cruise when you push the button and drive itself. No big deal, pretty easy to deal with. I do have some tutorials on that, but won't be able to necessarily show that today. But I will tell you what my experience is like where this is concerned. A very comfortable ride quality to be expected with air ride suspension. The seats themselves are nice and comfortable. I really can feel the cool air blowing out with these ventilated seats turned on. Some vehicles, you don't quite get that experience, but here with this truck, I like that. So one thing I've noticed with GM vehicles in general is that you tend to have ventilated seats that do a great job. And obviously the acceleration is a lot of fun. I really don't think I'm going to have an area where I can do too much with that the way I would like to, but you probably get the picture. There's one thing I do like about owning one of these models. A lot of people have told me once they step on the pedal a few times, because obviously the more often you do that, the more charge capacity you're going to use up in a quicker manner. So the good news is that once you get that out of your system, and you've done it a few times, at least from what I've been told from friends who own EVs, you really don't want to do it anymore. Maybe every once in a while, but it's just kind of one of those things of the newness wears off, so to speak. So that's good. The steering wheel itself, nice and comfortable, and I do like the fact that the power pedal is very easy to manage. That shouldn't be a surprise, but somebody is likely to ask that question. It's not like your conventional vehicle with a turbocharger on it or something like that, where you have a gas pedal that is something you have to get used to, how it operates, how you can control the engine without pushing it and having it, you know, mess with people as far as heads going back and forth and things like that. Same thing with the brake pedal. It's a lot easier to brake check people with some vehicles than it is with others when you don't mean to do it. Don't have that problem here either. Everything very well balanced. Now, the one thing I've noticed here is that I don't really hear a lot of engine sound. So if you're wondering what that, you noticed I had it in sport as opposed to normal. Well, I can't really tell a difference here. There have been some vehicles I've driven, some EVs, where you could easily hear that sound. So I don't know, maybe it's just me. I do have a lot of years under my belt driving race cars, and I have to tell on myself, I did not use earplugs when I should have. So let's see how we do here. It would be interesting to see how it does from a standing stop. I'm not going to do that today because I really don't have a good place to do it, but taking off as I just did right there, you really didn't get the punch in the gut that you might expect. At least I didn't, but not bad. A very well-balanced vehicle for all of the technology here. I can't say enough about how easy the technology is to learn. And there's a lot here, and often when you have a lot of technology, it can be challenging to learn. But a couple of things to consider here. Number one, you're on YouTube. You can learn, so that's going to help you out. You also have Google Assistant to help you out as well, and so that's a good thing. I'm not going to demonstrate Google Assistant for those who are not familiar. When you say, hey, Google, I tend to set people's devices off in their homes, and so I try not to do that. And as promised earlier in the video, I showed you where you change the ride height of the truck, but I didn't show you what it does on the screen. So here's how it looks. So depending on what we're doing, there's ride height right there, and we're going to have increased, normal, and entry or exit. So what I'm going to do is lower the truck all the way down. And there it is, the 2024 Chevrolet Silverado EV RST. Is it worth every penny? Tell me what you think down in the comments section. I'm looking forward to seeing what you have to say. I do want to say a special thanks to my friends here at Red River Chevrolet for loaning me this Silverado EV for the day, and a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit the like button. That helps me out a lot. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. And if you would like to learn about additional vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I'll see you there.